Today was a very long day. So today was just one of those days. It was pretty rough. We had great plans. In fact, we didn't really film anything while we were around the Darby area except for campground review. We tried to take a little bit of a break, but we've been having an issue with our right front jack. If you've ever messed with a Lippert 3.0 system, you know that there's some errors that it'll give you. Alright, so this has been a real mess. So we had this happen last summer and our LCI levelers didn't auto level correct, gave us a error message. Well, those errors turned into weaker and weaker movements, and this morning we were barely able to get the jacks high enough to hitch up. In fact, I had to let the air out of the airbags to allow the truck to slide under, and luckily enough it worked high enough that we were able to hitch. Well, we left there, we headed down to Stanley, Idaho, and got a great campsite at Sunny Gulch Campground, and all of a sudden we just couldn't unhitch. Could not get that landing jack on the right side to actually go up enough to allow me to unhitch. So I messed with it. I even switched motors. I went from the mid to the front with a motor. Motor checked out fine, nothing wrong with the motor. And the last time that I tried to lift it, the right front jack actually gave way and it fell. You could feel the camper just kind of rotate. Didn't hit anything, nobody was hurt, but I knew at that point I better stay hitched because I'd be in a lot of trouble if not. So we were very fortunate. I think the Lord was looking out for us on that one, so we didn't unhitch and we moved on, and we came down to Twin Falls because we kept calling, trying to find somewhere that would help us out with a repair, and called a couple of big facilities, and they were like, we can't get you into October. Well, that doesn't do us any good. And so we found a mobile repair that was willing to come out and meet us at a campground. He said, where are you guys at? We said, we'll be wherever you want us to be. And so hopefully he's got the parts this morning and he'll be able to fix that. Should be a simple fix, I believe, but got to have the right parts. And I don't have access to the parts right now. It's one of the bad things about being on the road and traveling like we do in the summer. Luckily this week we're real flexible. We didn't have any plans and we were just boondocking during the week. So hopefully we'll get this fixed, get back out on the road and have some fun again. But you know, whenever you're RVing, it's just one of the things that happens. You have to be ready for something to occur. And I have a lot of extra parts, but I didn't think that we would have any problems with our front landing gears coming down. So, but it can happen, and you just kind of roll with the punches and see where life takes you. All right, after a real rough day yesterday and us trying to get somebody out to help us out with this jack up here, we got a repair guy, and Dale did a great job diagnosing and helping us out. And he told me, he said, yeah, you've got the right issue here. It's the screw and the nut on the inside of these jacks. They just wear out. You can't grease them, so they wear out over time, and so then it won't lift. And so he said, look around, see what you can find. And he's a great guy. That's a mobile RV repair guy that you should call, and took care of us. So we rode over to State Trailer RV and Outdoor Supply over in Idaho Falls. So it was about a 2-hour ride, but they had one of these in stock. I called this morning, found it. I said, okay, please let me go ahead and pay for it. They allowed me to pay for it, so I'm going to go ahead and install it. I've actually already uninstalled everything before we left the previous campground to make this repair pretty easy. It's really simple. All you have is the jack itself, the foot, the motor, and a couple of bolts. So we're going to do this repair here hopefully pretty quick, and test it out, make sure everything works before we leave, and then camp for the night. So unexpected 2 days here, but you know, it's RVing. It's just what ends up happening. All right, so we've already unassembled the old jack, and I'm just gonna flip this around so you can kind of see how this is in here. So we got the motor on top, 12-volt connections here, and then your jack itself is held in place with 2 bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom. And so I've already removed the jack here, and you can see there's just a little insulation down here, and I'll replace that. That's easy, it's just a little foam. So I'm gonna unbolt these, slide the jack back into place, and just reassemble everything. So if you're trying to do this on your own, you know, just do it in reverse. But really, it's an easy fix for a situation like this. It's real stressful because if you're unhitched or you can't, you know, take the trailer off of the hitch, which was our case. That was a blessing though. It wasn't a curse in that matter, because we were able to continue and go get our parts and not have to leave the camper somewhere. All right, here we go. All right, so jack in. So what this jack has on it are 2 little pieces here that are going to keep it from sliding out, and that's really the purpose of the bolt and the bracket here. It's going to tighten this all into place. So we're just going to tighten everything back down. Put our top bolt back in. So these nuts, I'll just warn you, they have paint on them, and so this is a 14 millimeter, and all these parts are different on RVs. I don't know why they can't standardize some stuff, but these 14 millimeters, it'll slide on there and it'll get stuck. So don't get frustrated, but that's what happens with it. So we're gonna tighten that back down. Yeah, don't get frustrated. There it goes. Good night. All right, so we got that back in place. We're gonna go ahead and mount our motor. So the motor, one little tip, there's a piece on the inside that has to align with the piece on the top. And so you got to get it just right. You can take a pair of vice grips and turn it if you need to. You can also take your phone, take a picture of it if it's up in there. I did that yesterday to get it back aligned. All right, there are 2 bolts that are going to go back in place that hold the motor housing in place here. We're going to have one on this side. The other one's a little tougher to get to. You have to take out the propane tank on the other side, and then there's a hole that you can stick your socket into with an extension. So that's how we're gonna do that one. All right, so this bolt is a 13 millimeter. Gonna tighten this down. Just holds it in place. There's not a lot of tension on that particular one. All right, while I'm in here, I'm gonna go ahead and plug my connections back up. One is a triangle connection. You cannot mess this up. One is more of a square rectangular connection. Okay. Back in place. Now I need to add the leg. And our bracket, our pin that holds your extension in place. All right, so you'll see that there's one hole on one side here. This is where your foot is going to go, so line up those holes. We're going to put our pin back into place. Okay, and now this is going to turn opposite. Your holes here are going to be on the outside and the inside, and we've got to remount this piece to hold that in. Slide this in. Slide our bolt in place. So now our bolt is mounted. These have a square head on the end, so when they go in, they'll hold themselves in place when you go to tighten down the other side of the bracket. Get these nuts started. Now we'll hold that in place and we'll tighten this down. Not too much. Not a lot of tension again there. You're just holding this in place. There's no weight on this bolt right here. Your weight is going to be on this mount, so we're just going to double check it, and it slides. Okay, now for the real test, we're going to lower these a little bit. We're going to put power to the motors, and we're going to see if it'll lift up. If it will, our problem is fixed. If not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, there goes our mid jacks. So it's still looking good. Mid jacks are coming down, or stabilizers. Once those middle stabilizers come down, usually you're pretty good to go, because it should have leveled at this point. Just a little fine tune.
Success.
Man,
Yay!
I love to hear that. Yes. Okay.
It's been a little while since we've heard that.
Yeah, it has been a while. So I'm glad this is fixed. And if you guys have to do a fix for yourself on this, literally once you do that first one, it takes what, 45 minutes maybe to kind of figure it out. Real quick disassembly, and then the assembly part is so easy. Last night it took me 20 minutes to replace the left front jack, and I really recommend that you replace both of them if you're having an issue and you're getting these LF or RF errors. That's almost what it is that bolt, that nut, and that screw that's inside the jack itself. It's not typically the motor, but it's that mechanical part that's worn out, because there's no way to grease it. So Lippert, you need to figure out a way to put a grease fitting on there, Zerk, so that would help us out. I do think that would make a big difference. All right, hope it helped you out. We'll see you guys next time out on the Mewve.